Welcome to NFL Nexus. Today, we are diving deep into a really critical moment for the Houston Texans. I mean, look, they've built this absolutely ferocious, top-tier defense, right? But now the real work starts on the other side of the ball. And it all begins right there in the trenches, with what's shaping up to be a super high-stakes overhaul of their offensive line.
There's no debate about it. The Houston Texans have a defense that is, without a doubt, elite. Seriously. It's the kind of defense that keeps you in every single game, the kind that makes opposing offensive coordinators lose sleep at night. But, and this is a huge but, we all know that in today's NFL, defense alone isn't going to win you a Super Bowl. It just won't. To really truly contend for a championship, to make that leap from just being a tough team to a genuine threat, you absolutely need balance. You need an offense that can pull its own weight, protect its quarterback, and score points. And for Houston, the starting point for all of that, the absolute ground zero, is the offensive line. It's the engine room for the whole operation, and right now, it's also the team's biggest, most glaring question mark.
All right, so let's really get into the weeds here. The problem, it's crystal clear if you watch the Texans play at all last season. The offensive line needs a lot of work. We're talking about significant tweaks, major upgrades, and this isn't just about shuffling a few guys around to get a little better. No. This is about defining the entire offensive identity for 2026 and for the years to come. If they want to protect their quarterback and power this offense to a championship level, they have to solve this puzzle, this big conundrum in the trenches.
To figure out where they're going, we first have to understand where they've been. Just last offseason, the front office took what you could call a frugal approach. Instead of breaking the bank, they went bargain hunting, making these value, cost-conscious additions to basically build a brand new starting five from scratch. And sometimes that works. Sometimes you find an absolute diamond in the rough. A guy like Ed Ingram, for example, was a huge win. He was a consistent, solid player who performed way, way better than his contract would suggest. That's the dream, right? But it's also a high-wire act, because on the flip side, you've players like Jake Andrews, who kind of highlighted the risk. He was a cheap option, sure, but his play on the field, it showed that sometimes you really do get what you pay for. And that created a clear hole that now needs to be filled. So this mixed bag of results has really forced the front office to ask themselves, is being frugal still the right move? So that leads to the million-dollar question. How do they fix it? After that season of bargain shopping, the Texans front office is basically at a philosophical crossroads. They're staring down two very different, you could almost say polar opposite, paths to upgrade this offensive line. And the choice they make? It's going to do way more than just decide who's blocking next season. It's going to send a massive signal about the team's entire philosophy on how to build a winner, and just how urgently they want to win right now.
And this slide right here, it perfectly lays out the massive choice facing general manager Nick Caserio. So over on one side, you've got what we're calling the value play. This is like the 2.0 version of last year's frugal approach. It's smart, it's targeted, it's opportunistic. It's about being patient and letting the market come to you, specifically by hunting for those veteran cap casualties. The goal here is all about smart, efficient spending, finding the best player you can for the lowest possible price. Then on the other side, you have the big splash. And this is a total 180. It's aggressive, it's high spending. It's about saying, we know who we want and we're going to get them, period. The goal here isn't just to patch a hole, it's to completely overwhelm the problem with money and resources, signing multiple top-tier starters to transform the unit overnight. So what do? Do they hunt for a bargain, or do they go on a massive spending spree? Let's break each of these down.
Okay, let's take a closer look at path number one, the value play. Think of this strategy as playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. It's all about being clever. It's about finding those inefficiencies in the NFL player market. The front office isn't just looking for any old cheap player. They are laser focused on finding proven, starting caliber veterans. But here's the key. They're looking for guys who get released not because they can't play anymore, but because their contract just got too big for their old team to handle. It's a strategy of patience, of carefully monitoring the wire, and being ready to pounce the second another team is forced to make a painful financial cut.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because we can put a real name and a real face to this whole abstract idea. Jonathan M. Alexander over at the Houston Chronicle points to a textbook example, the Patriots veteran center Garrett Bradberry. Now, as he notes, the Patriots don't have to cut Bradberry, but by doing so, they would save a cool $5.7 million against the salary cap. And in the world of NFL finances, that is a ton of money. That kind of saving is exactly what turns a reliable, solid starter into a prime candidate to hit the open market, and in turn, a prime target for a team like the Texans who are playing the value game.
And that quote brings us right to a key piece of off-season lingo, something you hear all the time, the cap casualty.
This term is the absolute engine that makes the whole value play strategy work. So, what is it? A cap casualty is a good football player who basically becomes a victim of the spreadsheet. Their team has to free up salary cap space, right? Maybe to sign their new draft class or extend a young superstar or just to get under the league limit. So they have to release a veteran player, not because he's washed up, but simply because his cap number is too high. This creates an unbelievable opportunity for a team like Houston to swoop in and grab a proven talent without having to get into a bidding war in free agency or give up precious draft picks in a trade. It's a massive strategic advantage if you can pull it off.
So let's really zoom in on Bradberry for a second and see why he is such a perfect target for this kind of approach. First, he plays center. That's the quarterback of the offensive line, a critical leadership position. He's 30 years old, which puts him right in that veteran sweet spot. Not so old that you're worried about a decline, but with enough experience to be totally reliable. And that experience? It is huge. Over 110 combined regular season and playoff games started. Think about that. This isn't some young guy you're hoping pans out. He's a known commodity. He has seen every blitz, every stunt, every defensive front you can imagine. He's the perfect example of what Houston would get. A dependable, serviceable veteran you can just plug into the lineup on day one and immediately stabilize the entire interior of your O-line. He might not be a flashy, headline-grabbing superstar, but he's a rock-solid solution at what could be a major discount.
All right, now let's completely switch gears and look at the second path. And this is the polar opposite in, well, pretty much every single way. You can forget about patience, forget about bargain hunting. This is the big splash. This is about brute force. The strategy isn't about finding a good deal, it's about an aggressive, all-in cannonball into the deep end of the free agency pool. And we're not just talking about signing one guy. Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated has made a really bold prediction here. He thinks the Texans will sign not one, but two new starting offensive linemen. That would fundamentally reshape the entire group with a massive infusion of top-dollar talent.
And going down this path, it opens up a completely different universe of players. You're not shopping in the discount aisle anymore. You are on Rodeo Drive. I mean, look at these names. At center, you're targeting the big fish himself, Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens. This guy isn't just an upgrade. He's a young, elite, perennial Pro Bowl player who could anchor your line for the next decade. Now, yeah, prying him away from a smart team like Baltimore would be incredibly hard and wildly expensive, but that's the entire point of a big splash. You make them an offer they just can't refuse. And if he's truly off the table, you pivot to another top-tier starter like Connor McGovern. Still a huge improvement. Then you look elsewhere. At right tackle, imagine grabbing Braden Smith from the division rival Colts. You not only make your line better, you actively make a direct competitor weaker. And at left guard, you've got choices. Do you go for a proven, all-pro veteran like Joel Bitonio, or a younger rising star with a sky-high ceiling like Zion Johnson? The key thing to see here is the sheer scale of the ambition. It's about using massive financial resources to get multiple high-impact starters and turn your biggest question mark into an undeniable exclamation point strength for 2026.
So after you see that list of all-pro talent, the obvious question is, well, why wouldn't you just do that? Why not just go for the big splash? If you have the chance to sign multiple Pro Bowl level guys, it seems like a no-brainer, right? Well, there is one major, unavoidable wall that stands in the way of every single team's offseason dreams, and that's money. More specifically, the NFL's unforgiving, hard salary cap. And this right here is where the Texans' current situation gets pretty tricky. Because as things stand right now, before they make any moves, they are not under the salary cap. They're actually about $5 million over it. That means they are in the red. They literally cannot sign anyone. They can't even go window shopping for free agents. Before they can even begin to think about adding a value player like Garrett Bradberry, let alone two superstars, they first have to get their own financial house in order and just become compliant with the league's rules. But, and this right here is the crucial point that makes this whole conversation so fascinating, their current cap situation is not a prison, it's a choice. Through a combination of roster cuts and clever contract restructures, the Texans front office has the power to create a massive amount of spending money. We're talking about up to $50 million in available cap space. $50 million. That is more than enough to go out and execute a big splash, and then some. They have the financial levers to pull to create a giant war chest if they want to. So the decision they're facing isn't really about can they spend, it's about should they. Now, while this massive philosophical decision is hanging over the whole franchise, the day-to-day work of building a 90-man roster has to continue. And the Texans recently made one of those small, foundational moves by re-signing an exclusive rights free agent, offensive lineman Jared Kingston. This is a depth move. It's a one-year deal for just over $1 million. It's a smart, low-risk piece of business that makes sure they have bodies for training camp and good competition along the line. But it's really important to see this move for what it is. This is the housekeeping you do before you start the major home renovation. This is not the answer to their big O-line problem, but it's a small, necessary step they take before they decide which of those two major paths they're going to walk down.
And all of this brings us right back to the central theme here, the decision that the Texans front office is about to make. It isn't just about the 2026 season. This is a truly franchise-defining choice. It's a massive statement about their team-building philosophy, about their timeline for contention, and about their core belief in what it takes to build a Super Bowl champion from the ground up.
So when you boil it all down, what does all this mean for the Houston Texans? Well, it really comes down to this single critical question. Is the road to a Super Bowl paved with value, or is it paved with volume? Do they believe that a targeted, efficient value signing, like a Garrett Bradberry, is the smartest way to build a sustainable winner around their already elite defense? Or have they decided that this is the moment, that now is the time for an aggressive, high-cost overhaul, a volume play, to just overwhelm their biggest weakness with the best talent money can buy and make an immediate, all-in push for a championship? This is the decision that is going to define their entire offseason and, very possibly, their chances at a Lombardi trophy. And there you have it. That is the high-stakes, fascinating strategic choice that the Houston Texans are facing right now. And it's a decision that's going to have ripple effects for years to come. Thanks so much for watching this NFL Nexus Explainer.
If you enjoyed this deep dive and you want more breakdowns just like it would be a huge help if you could support the channel. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button for NFL Nexus, give this explainer a like, and most importantly, get in the comments and let us know what you think. I really want to know, value or volume, which path should the Texans take? Drop your choice down below.
And hey, one more great way you can help support everything we do here is by checking out our coloring books. They're really cool, perfect for kids, grandkids, and honestly, they're great for adults too. It's a fantastic way to unwind. You can find them by clicking the link right there in the description below, or just by scanning the QR code that's on your screen right now. Thanks again for everything, and we'll see you next time.